This is the Inside TRAQ. We discuss health, healthcare, and medical insurance simplified. Powered by Total Risk Administrators and the TRA experts Warren, Alan, Dr. Avron, Rena, Jeff, and Kim. Sharp insight, real conversations. Let's go.
Hi there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Inside TRAQ. I'm so excited for today's episode because we did something a bit different. Normally, we allow Doc Avron to interview a health care expert or a medical practitioner, and they give us some views on medical matters. For this episode, we did things a little bit differently. We got hold of Brandon de Kock. For those of you who don't know him, he's the brains behind a company, a concept called Brand Map, which is a marketing survey that is run. Yeah, it's a market research a platform. And what they do is they study particularly facts and figures related to the consumer class. And you'll hear about it in the interview I had with him where he explains what this is all about. But effectively, the consumer class is a group of about 14 million consumers in South Africa who represent some serious buying power. So we spoke about that. And you might be asking, why did we discuss that for our sort of medically related podcast? The reason we've done that is because the learnings we take from Brand Map as an exercise is crucial for us as a short-term insurance provider. Not only that, it gives you some fascinating information as to who is the South African consumer.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating insights, and I can't wait to hear. And I think once you understand that, then maybe you can also understand what healthcare trends will be coming out of that in terms of understanding consumer class.
Yes. So I was fortunate to be able to go and interview Brandon down in Cape Town, and we took a walk through the forest down there, and we were able to have a chat, and really it was very meaningful. So sit back and watch and see what we got up to.
Great.
Oh man, sorry, have you seen Brandon de Kock?
Yeah, he's just a bit further up there.
Okay. Jeez, I've been climbing for days, man.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our viewers on the Inside TRAQ. We are very privileged today, and it's a great honor for us to be with Brandon de Kock from Brand Map, Y5, and he'll give you the insights into what those words actually mean just now. But we're very honored to be having this interview. Our journey together started a couple of years ago, where we saw a presentation that Brandon gave us part of their involvement with Hot 102.7 FM, and we had the chance to actually look at one of the presentations that Brandon gave and realize that a simple thing like surveying data has so much more power and strength once you interpret it properly, and that's how we got involved. And Y5 did a survey for us, gave us some interpretive data on gap cover, and the stories continued where Brandon's now one of our, he's on our podcast, and we want to hear from him about why is data so sexy? And I guess that's what we're here for. So I'm going to pose a few questions to Brandon, and I know he's going to give us the good answers. So, maybe we can start by looking at, Brandon, you famously said that stories are just data with a soul. How do you take something as cold as data and turn it into something that actually changes business behavior and perception?
So, Warren, first of all, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me here. Nice to get you down to my beloved Newlands Forest.
Good.
So it's not. I didn't say that. That's a famous Brené Brown quote. So it comes from one of those YouTube TEDx kind of speeches that she made, and I think the concept behind it was just that we live in this incredibly data-rich but potentially insight-poor world. Yeah. So for me, the idea of storytelling is about it's about bridging that gap. It's about trying to take these data points, of which there are thousands, hundreds, millions these days, and how do you turn them into something meaningful? So the way I look at it is, those famous, when you watch one of those crime movies, and you've got the guy trying to solve the crime, and he's got like all these things on a board, and then they connect them together with string. That's how I see data and I see storytelling. So data are just those little pegs on the board. Storytelling is your ability to join those things together and start going like, how do you take all these different data points and how do you connect them? How do you understand the context behind them? And when you can start doing that, then you start getting insight rather than just data.
Sure.
And that's really how you change your business, is when you understand that the data is valuable, but it's not actionable often.
No, sure. And it's the story.
It's the story that's actionable. So, take 10 different things, put them all together and go, what does it mean? Not what does the number say?
And that's the soul.
That's the soul.
The soul part of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is the soul.
So, I mean, we know that BrandMap focuses on the top 30% of earners.
Yes.
In terms of your consumer class. Why is this segment so critical for brands to understand in South Africa? Well, what is critical about that
of the
consumer class?
Consumer class. So the way we've always understood sort of the South African landscape is about 42 million adults in South Africa right now. About 70% of those adults live in households earning less than 10,000 rand a month.
Okay, wow.
Okay, that's just the way that the way that we work. We are the most unequal society in the world. We win the Gini coefficient numbers, you know. So what's crucial is that at that 10,000 rand mark, just imagine how much consumer choice you've got outside of sheer survival.
Sure.
You know, like 10,000 rand a month is not a lot of money. No. The moment you hit 10,000, for a start, you start paying personal tax or potentially paying personal tax. And as you get higher and higher up the income sort of pyramid, as we call it, your level of choice increases sort of exponentially until you eventually land up in like a 40,000 rand a month or more household, of which there are only a couple of million in South Africa. And at that point, you can start doing things like buying financial services, getting medical aid, considering gap cover, etc.
But that consumer class, how big is that?
So about the total consumer class is about 14 million strong. That's 14 million people living in households earning more than 10,000 rand a month. So it's not a lot. It's not a lot against the total 42
but effectively
million.
It's 14 million reasons to be doing research.
Absolutely, 14 million reasons to understand what's going on in those people's lives.
Excellent. So, I mean, I think that forms the basis of a lot of what we do. For our listeners, we do. You know, this is taken in the forest. We're surrounded by nature. It's fantastic here, but we're surrounded by the people.
The natural noises of the forest.
So just bear with us. But I think it's a great setting for us to be here. Most businesses already have large volumes of data. So you know, why are they still getting things fundamentally wrong regarding the behavior of their customers?
So I think back to where I started. You know, the point is data can tell you a lot, and you need data. But if you just focus on the number, what you're doing is you're focusing on what as a question, right? What or how many. And the key to understanding how to change your business or the way you do something is to start understanding why.
Why?
So we live in a what rich world and a why poor world would be the same as saying we live in a data rich world but an insight poor world. And I think there's a tendency, especially now with AI and automated systems, there's a tendency to rely 100% on the numbers to tell you the story. I still think there's a role for human beings to play. You know, one of my latest jokes is we've been doing a bit of research in the food world about mayonnaise in particular. And I love the fact that I threw a whole lot of thoughts into AI, and it came back with not rubbish, but it suddenly occurred to me, it's never tasted mayonnaise. You know what I mean? Like, so
right.
I think that's what it is. You've got to be careful how you use your data. Having data is great. Be careful how you use it. Or be wise about how you use it.
No, it makes sense. And if you had to pick one major shift, what surprising change in South Africa consumer behavior are brands currently underestimating?
Sure, I think we it's hard to go with one, and it's also hard. Shifts are difficult things for me because I tend to look at the world in a very longitudinal way. We've been doing BrandMap for 13 years, you know, so for me, shifts are things that you see coming from 5 years ago. You know, if there's a major shift about the world, the consumer landscape, I think it's probably in in the speed of change and how fast that's accelerated. We've been talking about this for 10 years, and every year we say like, people don't realize how fast things are changing, but it really is changing fast now. You know, it's like AI has probably multiplied the speed of change by 5. Computers multiplied it by 3. You know, so things are just changing super fast, and it means that if you blink, if you stand still right now, I think you're in trouble. You know, my rule is always like, the only thing you can't do is stand still and wait and see what's going to happen, because
Yeah.
because while you're doing that, your consumers will be going somewhere else.
And I think it applies to any business.
Any business.
You can apply that across the board.
But it is extreme right now.
Yeah,
you know,
it
it's
is,
an extreme shift that we.
Yeah.
One of the sort of models that I use is this idea that we came from a world of limited choices to almost unlimited choices in consumerism and the growth of consumerism in South Africa.
Yeah.
And it feels like the last couple of years post-COVID, that's been getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And our choices have just been getting more and more and more.
Yeah.
And now what we're seeing is sudden change in that behavior. Because for lots of different reasons.
Yeah.
But it's the sudden change, it's the speed of change.
Yeah.
Jeez, it's amazing.
I mean, you and I were talking earlier about things like this, the war in Iran. Just as an example, we were talking about COVID, and you were also talking about home deliveries, where some rate of change is quicker than others.
Absolutely.
And the effect is different.
Massive. And about 5 years ago, before COVID, there was no home grocery delivery service in South Africa.
It didn't exist.
And now we're measuring like 50% of the consumer class using home delivery grocery services at least once a month. So think about how that changes all consumer behavior, right? It's not just that I expect to get my groceries delivered. It's like if you're delivering goods and services and products, you need to know that that's how my behavior has changed in 5 years.
Yes.
You know?
So just repeat that for our viewers. What percentage of people are using home delivery service of the consumer class?
About 50%. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So 50%. You know, we, as I say, go back 5 years ago, the percentage was 0.
Yes.
Because the only thing I think that existed was pick and pay bottles.
Yes.
You know, and now led primarily by checkers.
Yes.
I think it's, you know, we can safely say that
Yeah, we
60/60
can,
changed the landscape. If you add all of the delivery services together, we're currently sitting on 52% of consumer class South Africans saying that they use a grocery home delivery service at least once a month.
At least once a month.
At least once a month. That's a lot of people. That's
but
a
then also
massive
consider
change in
that would then be a person who is not sitting on the couch, who's actually going to the shops now. That person is sitting on the couch just using his phone to order in.
Precisely.
It affects a whole other.
So all of those shops on the side of the shopping mall that sit between the car park and the grocery.
They're not seeing that.
They're not seeing that footfall. So fairly massive impact.
Yeah.
And it's happened really fast.
Yeah. I mean, we also spoke, now put that into context with things like the diesel price going up to catastrophic levels.
Yeah.
It's happened in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's amazing that, and we spoke earlier, that anyone who was considering purchasing a diesel vehicle 2 weeks ago, maybe is not doing that
Probably
now.
not doing it right now.
Yeah. And again, the context is that changes in one sort of one metric can change behavior.
Absolutely. That's the great understanding, is how sort of, and it goes back to what I said earlier about the crime board.
Yeah.
You know, if you're only looking at one piece of data, if you're looking at like how many of something was sold, and you don't understand the context, you can get things really wrong.
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
I always think about my favorite one example of that was, remember in COVID, if you just looked at the sales figures for grocers, you would have seen that for some reason in the middle of COVID, everybody started hating Marmite. Nobody bought Marmite. Well, the reason was because there was no Marmite available. You know? So you can't just look at the sales number. You've got to look at the context as well. And I think if you do that, then you're starting to develop a more kind of sophisticated ability to understand how to react to changes in the consumer market. Yeah.
I mean, that's fascinating.
But to join the dots, you know? Got to join the dots.
Right, let's bring things a bit closer to the Inside TRAQ and TRA. If you're advising a gap provider like TRA, what are the 3 most important consumer insights we should be acting upon right now?
Sure.
And you know, that
free consultation one. So 3, I don't know. I'll tell you what I think the biggest thing in your world, this whole world of call it financial services products, medical products. I think there is we have a legacy of product in South Africa, like many other countries, and we're one of those countries where innovation and novelty it's massive, right? So if you look at some of the financial like the platforms that are doing quite well, things like easy equities, they've come from nowhere, and they're really attracting a group of younger people. If you look at the insurance products that are out there, the idea of like breaking the norm, so the nakeds, these digital kind of products, novelty and innovation is where things are at. And I think that in the world of gap cover, for example, it's quite a sophisticated product to understand. Medical insurance is quite sophisticated to understand. To understand why you might need gap. Whoever cracks the kind of the easily understandable. Don't talk to me in the language I don't. I'm not stupid, but I just might not know what you're talking about.
So give me the plain and simple version of things.
Give me a plain and simple version of things. Make it easy. Appeal to the world. It's so easy to get things done these days as a consumer. And I think the guys who in your business who are providing novel product, or at least are making an effort to. That's the path to success.
So look,
a path to success.
If I were to put my TRA hat on, I know we have embraced that a lot. We've got online facilities, we've got chatbots that interpret what you want. We've got 24-hour WhatsApp channels and those sort of things. So we're trying to do that. And I'm glad that that's something that you've picked up that is of benefit to.
Well, I think it's not that it's picked up in real time in real world. Okay. In other words, if you look at these more digitally based, or they're not even digitally based, it's a new way of looking at an old product. As I say, whether it's Hippo or easy equities, or whenever you have something that's just breaking the mold a little bit, that's got potential to attract a new audience, especially.
No, for sure. And I guess, look, we've had a great interview up to now, but our viewers have
time to walk further up the mountain.
Time to walk further up the mountain. But let me leave us with one thought, and maybe a question. What's one data point, and it might be more than one, from your research that made you stop and say, this changes everything?
Sure. Okay, so there isn't one. That's not a fair question.
Okay.
What I think we're looking at what happened last year. So we've had a really, really good time in a way as a consumer class coming out of and recovering out of COVID. It's actually been a better journey than most people think. You'll know from the various presentations over the years. Coming out of COVID, we were like, are we in real trouble? Things are going to go south. And actually the consumer class, so the people who do have jobs in South Africa, the people who are earning a reasonable living, have done okay. Something happened last year, and I think it was a combination of a bit of Trumpism, a bit of, trade issues. Ironically, as you know, the stock market did incredibly well last year. But it just means that the people who've got money had a really good year. The thick middle of the consumer class we think they had a really rough year. We think that basket of shopping has gone from 800 to 1100.
Okay. That's a takeaway for our listeners. We know last year was a bit rough.
It was a rough year, So the guys at the top, the people who could afford to buy new cars, great year. Best car sales ever. The guys in the fat middle, I think they had a rough time. And what we see in those rough times is what in data terms. We see a lot of good intention turning into action.
Okay.
So the example I always use is, people say for 10 years I'm going to give up smoking. I'm going to give up smoking. And then all it takes is that one friend to be diagnosed with some dread disease.
Correct.
And that's when you actually go, right, I'm done with smoking.
Okay.
So we think that last year there might be a little bit of that coming into play. The financial pressures of last year are the trigger for people to do things like, for example, I'm going to drink less, or I'm going to give up drinking. Boom, we see a 5 percentage point shift in the footprint of people actually drinking alcohol last year.
And that 5% you told me earlier, how many people is that?
Well, that's potentially like 700,000 people
changing,
who are potentially not drinking at all. And you go, what's that, a 15 billion rand industry or something, 150 billion, what am I talking about? The potential impact of that is absolutely massive. But to the language we were talking about in a
Yes,
previous
yes,
conversation,
yes, yes.
there's also opportunity in there,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
Because if you look at what's happened, those people haven't stopped drinking. I mean, you've
No.
got to eat and drink to live. But if you look at the impact of the really high quality, high value product, non-alcoholic drinks, they're fabulous, right? So someone's seeing the opportunity there and going, well, if you like beer and you like sophisticated taste, but you don't want to drink alcohol, here, try this. And there's a whole opportunity there for a new market to fill the gap.
But that's exactly, that talks to everything we've been chatting about today, is adaptability.
Absolutely.
When the data speaks to you, you need to respond. So I think that's pretty good for our viewers. When you see shifts, like you were speaking about, react to it.
Absolutely. And don't stand still.
Don't stand still. I think that's maybe that's the message for our viewers today.
Yeah, and you got 14 million reasons to not stand still.
14 million reasons to not stand still. I love that. Well, Brandon, it's been an honor. Thank you again. Lovely setting. I have to say this is our sexiest setting yet. The forest.
Newlands Forest.
Yeah, as opposed to our conventional studio. So it's been great. Thank you so much. And
only a pleasure.
I think we need to do this again. Perhaps when we come up with we see some more insights.
Absolutely.
We do this again. And,
anytime. We can go even higher up the mountain and go find some waterfalls.
Or unicorns.
Or unicorns.
Oh, great. Thanks very much.
No worries. Cheers.
Well, there we go. You guys can see we got up to a bit of mischief at the end there. We sort of played around with the video and we had great fun. But importantly for us is we got to the heart of what brand map's all about, and how TRA can use it for,
and the insights to the consumer.
And absolutely
fascinating. I just learned so much in that interview.
Absolutely.
I'm sure our listeners would have learned a lot in terms of who the consumers are.
Sure. So I think that then follows naturally into our next segment, where we normally always discuss healthcare and healthcare industry matters. But for today, what I'd like us to do is just take some of the learnings from our interview and apply that quite practically to TRA and see how it fits in the TRA space. So I'm going to just give us three sort of concepts, and we can just have a nice chat about that.
Okay, sure.
And see how it works within our TRA space. The first thing we came up with is the concept of there is no average gap cover client. Now, we saw from what Brandon had to say that as a consumer in South Africa, there are so many variables. All right, geography,
yes,
race, age, culture, income, earning ability. How do we bring that into our TRA space? So, Alan, what do you think? How are we going to take the fact that we know there's no average consumer, but yet we're offering quite a slimmed down range of products? But how do we accommodate those variants?
Yeah, well, generally, we tend to design products and then take to market.
Sure.
Instead of going to listen to the markets, what's my needs?
Yeah.
And design our products accordingly.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big learning for me.
Sure.
Because sometimes we look at if you're in a medical schemes environment and a gap cover, you look at the claims and the shortfall, which claims were not paid, and you say there's a need.
Yes.
But is it really a need from the consumer? And that's what brand map teaches us.
Yes.
This is the class of your consumer.
Yeah.
Understand your consumer.
Yeah.
And I think there's a big learning for us there.
Yeah. I think it's a market-centric approach. Go out to your market, see where the gaps are, what they're looking for, and then start designing products around.
Yeah. Look, we are fairly structured in our industry because we fall under the demarcation regulations.
Sure.
So we don't have the ability to really get quite bold with the product offering. However, we can pitch those products at specific consumer classes, and that's what we find in the brand map survey.
Yeah,
where you can see who we're targeting.
If I can just come back and what TRA is good at is wrapping the TRA regulated product with TRA assist.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And those are the things we must understand more from a client, the unregulated stuff that we can bring to the client that will raise the level of satisfaction.
Sure. Absolutely.
The value-added services. As you say, there's a limited at what amount that we can do within a regulated space.
Yeah.
There's a lot of value-added services that one can add on, and I agree with you. Is that TRA does that really well, and there's some really amazing value-added services.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a nice one to consider. The next one, affordability is the real battleground. And what we saw coming out of BrandMap, particularly this year's survey that they did, is that affordability is becoming an issue.
Yes.
It's no longer just is it a good product? Do we offer a decent gap cover? Can people afford it? That's so important. So I mean, does that resonate with us? Does that make sense that we've got to be careful of affordability?
I think we've always thought affordability an important issue, but I think now more than ever, right? And I think to the point that consumers, as we heard in the program as well, are making choices around what they can afford more than what they actually need.
Yeah.
Look, affordability is an issue, but and it comes out of the BrandMap as well, consumers are really looking for a one-stop shop.
Yeah. And that's also important, yeah.
If you look at Dis-Chem, for example, look where Dis-Chem is today, from a pharmacy to a front shop to a financial services environment.
Yeah.
And that serves a particularly segment in their market.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Look at how the 60/60s has evolved, and the Checkers front office. It's more than just you can buy a plane ticket or you can buy a bus ticket. There's a whole range of financial services there. Sure. So if and people generally that buy has moved to online purchases in terms of retail, but people generally has moved to online in every respect. Take Naked, for example, as an insurance company, or Pineapple.
Yeah.
And my view is once you create a one-stop shop for a client, share of wallet is yours.
Yes, no, sure. I guess though that even in saying that, we do need to keep an eye on making sure that the products are regulated and still stay reasonably affordable. You can imagine if you don't want to think of a scenario where your gap cover is suddenly half the cost of a medical aid policy. At the moment it's significantly less than your medical aid, but it's providing a decent benefit. So, it's something that we can take in TRA as a learning for us. And then the last one, trust has shifted. People want proof, not promises. And I like that one because that really talks to a lot of what TRA already does. We offer a product that works. We know that. Our service levels are high enough. We provide the consumer with a whole lot of those added value benefits you mentioned. So there's a lot that we offer. But, the important thing and what we learned from the BrandMap survey is that trust is so important. So once we start offering products that consumers know they can rely on, it builds the trust. And that I think that's important for us as a business to have that.
The entire customer journey is based on trust.
Sure.
If I sign up, can I trust you to do the right things?
Yeah.
That's our membership environment.
Sure.
If I submit a claim, are you honestly paying I can go through this and waste a lot of time, but trust is the ingredient that is making sure that retention works for you.
Yeah, no, sure.
And I think a general point in the medical industry is around trust, right? People want to know their providers.
Correct.
Yes, absolutely.
Their funders that they can trust, right?
Yeah.
You're putting a lot of money into this, all right? And as we said, it's a very difficult decision of, a financial decision. You want to know that wherever you're putting it, you can trust your suppliers, your funders, etc. So absolutely. Point job.
We generally used to say that healthcare is your second largest household spend.
Yeah.
In many households, it's become the biggest spend.
It's become the biggest spend, for sure.
And people want surety and trust.
Yeah.
Because I'm spending a lot of money here.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think to wrap the one up, it really was so exciting to spend time with Brandon. It's been exciting to look at the results of the survey. And I'm sure we're going to have a lot more interaction with him in the future. He's already done a particular survey for us just in the gap cover space, never mind what the average consumer is doing. So all those learnings we're taking and we're going to use it to make TRA more competitive, in the market. And that's what our consumers want.
Yeah, exactly. I think we'll share those as the months head with
there's lots
of viewers and listeners.
In fact, he's got lovely droplets of wisdom, I call them, where he just gives these little stats. And we can use those. Yeah, right. Definitely. So
forward, that was a great interview. Thanks, Warren.
I think the closing line from that whole BrandMap thing has to be that BrandMap helps us move from marketing products to understanding people.
100%.
And, I think on that note, we've had another great episode and we'll leave it over to Gappy. Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Don't stress, the gap is covered.